Okay, so now we are in the newest hive and we are going to check them out.
We spent the morning checking the other 2 hives. They look pretty good. One hive even had some fresh nectar in there, so they've discovered a source. The other one was void of all honey and nectar, but very healthy hive overall. So we put honey supers on both of them. The one that we that didn't have any honey, we put a honey super on there that actually still needed cleaned up from last year, so it had honey in it. That'll help them out. This one was the last swarm that we got last year. That I recall, we really haven't done anything with it since.
No, we haven't. We haven't even opened it since last year, since we put it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, we just haven't. Okay.
So this is our first time seeing how they've developed, and you know, the first thing walking up to it, I mean, bees flying everywhere out of the hive, very busy hive. So I mean, right out of the gate, that's positive when you see your hive active. And looking at this thing, it's plumb full of bees, at least from the little hole on the cover. And once we open it, it's fairly full. I mean, I've seen fuller. There's definitely a decent population in here. This was actually a small hive when we caught it. It was a later hive. So we just kind of put them in here and let them go. We never even got around to moving it up to the bee yard. We were just busy. Okay, so here's a frame with nothing really built out on. A little bit of wax on there that they've put on there, but no comb built out yet. That's no big deal. Just they haven't got to it yet. And like I say, since it's a newer hive from a swarm last year, it meets expectations. They've got some pollen in there they've been bringing in. See some small hive beetles running around.
Remind me again, what do the beetles do in the hive once they get in?
They lay eggs, and the eggs turn into larvae, and they make a big mess if they're allowed to go. They raise havoc, making like webs all over in the comb and cause the honey to ferment. They basically destroy a hive, but a strong hive of bees will keep them at bay. Really only when a hive gets weak do the small hive beetles have the opportunity to do anything. That was a drone right there. See some bees with pollen in their pollen sacs. They've come in from foraging. Okay, here's a little bit of brood on this one. Pollen scattered around this one. Some drone.
Oh, I see a beetle. Right
yeah.
Here.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's several in there.
Oh.
So we need to get some beetle blasters in here. I don't think I have any. I mean, I might have some in my box, but I don't know that I have any DE, diatomaceous earth, to put in them. Didn't bring it, I don't think, but we'll check. But we'll need to put some in here.
Definitely. And we need to put some of those Swiffer claws to trap them.
Well, those beetle blasters work good. Larva, brood. Brood. Some pollen. I'm wondering if this hive either has swarmed or is getting ready to swarm.
Why? Why do you ask that question?
Well, just the way I'm looking at the brood pattern, it looks like it's mostly emerged. Okay, here we've got a queen cell.
Where is it?
So this right here is a queen cell. And
So that means they don't have a queen.
the interesting thing about that queen cell is typically when they're swarming, the queen cell will be down at the bottom, not at the top or in the middle like this. So typically when you find a queen cell in the middle like that, it's what we call an emergency cell or a supersedure cell. And so this is typically when something has happened to the queen. Here's another one over here.
Oh, right there, right here, right?
Yep. So you can see, looks like a peanut there.
Mm-hmm.
There, it's real clear. And that is another queen cell. So we've got 2 queen cells on this frame, one on each side.
So does that mean they don't have a queen right now?
And based on the position, they appear to be supersedure cells. Now, so Lorraine asked the question, does that mean that they don't have a queen right now? And typically the answer to that is yes. The suspicion is that they are queenless. So one thing we notice about this hive is it's very gentle. I mean, they're not going nuts at all. I mean, it's windy outside, and now the sun is shining, and we're down the hill. So as far as wind goes, we're not in the wind. Okay, so now here is a good brood frame, but you notice all this area, so it almost looks like all that brood has already emerged, because typically this entire frame was probably filled with brood. And there's still a good population of bees in this side. Now this side looks better, but you see also dots all through there, suggesting that brood has emerged. And based on the color of it also, see how it's a darker color? When it's darker like that, the darker it is, the older it is. So see how this is lighter than that?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that this side was laid first. They're older, and they're emerging. And so it is very possible that this hive already swarmed, because while the population of the hive is good, it's not great. I mean, this time of year you expect to see the hive just booming with bees, you know, because they're getting ready to enter the honey flow, and the queen's really producing. unless she's producing to swarm. And so the reason I'm suspicious is because most of the brood appears to be emerging. I saw some larvae, but I haven't seen any indications of a young larva. I see several day old larvae. I don't see eggs. So something could have happened to the queen. There's another
Right here.
queen cell right there. Now that one is built like a swarm cell. It's down at the bottom. And I see another one on the other side down at the bottom here. So there are several queen cells in this hive.
So far 4.
So it is very possible that the first swarm has already left the hive. The supersedure cells could be that the first queen that was to replace the original queen, maybe something happened to her. Maybe she went out for a mating flight or something and never came back. And so, you know, typically as soon as they realize they're queenless, which if they go a day or two without a queen, they figure out pretty quick they're queenless. And so what they'll do is they'll take some eggs that are, or larvae, brand new larvae, and they'll quickly turn it into a queen by feeding it royal jelly and making it into a queen cell, which is why it's in the middle, because that just happened to be where that egg was that they picked.
Okay, so what happens if those 4 queens, you know, survive all those cells, you know, the queen cells, because they only need 1 queen. So what do they do with
Well,
those?
so it depends. It's possible that one of those bottom cells that's like a swarm cell, in theory they should be the first to emerge because they were probably laid with the intent of being swarm cells and queens, and so they should emerge first. First one that emerges may take a bunch of bees and swarm and leave the hive again. Or she may go kill all the rest of the queens by stinging them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I see some fresh nectar in this one. So this beehive has found a source for nectar as well. So on a positive note, I see some fresh nectar. Now what do I see negative on this one? Well, I don't know that it's negative, but it's more of the same. I see 1, 2, 3 queen cells right down the side of that.
Oh, I see.
Oh, one of them though, one of them has emerged. It's empty and looks like a queen emerged from it. Okay, if you can see the bottom one.
Which
there.
right here?
See that bottom one, how it's open there? See how it's been chewed open?
So the queen is somewhere.
So the queen has emerged from there. Okay, so because that queen emerged from there, and she's emerged recently, because usually they'll go to work at getting rid of that queen cell once the queen emerges. So she's emerged recently, possibly even today. Now, that also can explain why the hive is so calm. Normally, when you have a queenless hive, the hive will be very aggressive. And that's because they're queenless and they realize that without a queen they can't survive. So, you know, the bees are thinking death is imminent, and so they're angry, they're not happy. And so when your hive is queenless, typically the hive will be very aggressive. This hive is not aggressive at all. And that would explain why. So since that queen emerged, and from looking at it, I believe she emerged today. I'm not, an expert on all that, but just based on experience, that's my belief, is that with that, the way the condition of the queen cup or the queen cell that she emerged from, I suspect she emerged today. And that would, just the presence of a queen would surely calm them down. Now there's another, okay, that's a queen cup and it doesn't look like there's anything in it. But look, there's a queen cell right in the middle. Yeah, so drone on top of it there. So we have lots of queen cells on this
hive.
In this hive, yes. There's one down there too, right here. Oh, that's empty though. It's open already. But it's empty, but it doesn't appear. Oh, there's a larva in it, so they're still making that one.
Ooh.
Okay, so that tells you the status there. They haven't quit. Oh, this one emerged already. See how that one's chewed open at the bottom?
This one?
Yeah. So this hive's been busy making lots of queens. The question is, what's happening to them? Are they swarming? Are they going out on mating flights and getting eaten by birds? We don't know. So there's a lot of things now that we can do with this. We have a lot of options here. So we can just leave it as is and let nature take its course. And generally what will happen as far as nature's concerned is, like I say, they're either going to swarm again and more bees will leave with a queen and go. That's how they reproduce. Or one of those queens is going to take out all the rest of the queens, and she'll take over this hive as the breeding queen. Hopefully she has some mating flights before she does that and gets mated. That would be a positive for the hive. And this hive will continue to do what they do. Another option we have is we could create some splits from this hive. So because we already have the several queen cells in there, we could take another hive and put some of these bees and some of these frames into the other hive and see what happens. Normally they do what's called a walk-away split, and a walk-away split is you're just taking frames of eggs and some bees and so forth and creating a small hive, and then they realize they're queenless and they make queens. The option here is that we get a jump start by giving them already created queens. They're just waiting for them to emerge, and once they emerge, then she'll take over the hive. So I guess we're gonna have to decide what we want to do. If we want to just leave it as is and let nature take its course, or if we want to create another hive from it and go from there. So stick with us. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we made our decision.
We talked about it and we came up with,
we're going to create another hive. So what I'm doing right now is I'm pulling back out some frames. Now all these frames are pretty well covered with bees, which should be good young bees. So I'm taking, so this frame right here has a good amount of brood, and it has several, see, oh, that's the one that emerged. So I'm gonna leave that one.
So at the very beginning, when we started dealing with bees, Jeff built this bee box to put all his tools and everything, but also it has the ability to become a nook. And so that's where we are going to start the
No, I'm just gonna use it to
transport
transfer
it. I'm
them.
sorry, to transport the these bees. Yes.
Looking for, okay, that's a brood frame with no queen cells. One, two. Yeah, so at least 2 queen cells on this one.
And you're checking if they're capped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no?
This is a good frame of bees. Brood. Which I will need one. Trying to.
So how many frames are we grabbing?
That one had a queen on it.
Hmm?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
As many as the most would be 5. But so far I've picked out 2. Both of them have queen cells on them. Of course, I probably made a mistake not checking it for the young queen. Might need to go back and do that. It's always easier if you can find the queen, but I don't even know if the queen's in here right now, because she could be out on a mating flight or whatever, or just hiding. This is just an empty cell with bees on it, so take that one. Either of these have queen cells on them, do you remember?
I don't think so. It was the last ones.
This was just a empty frame. Let me take one more frame out of here. I'll take 4 total.
So 4? And so we're leaving one frame with how many queen cells?
Well, it still had a couple more on it. This one, I think we saw queen cells on this one too, actually. But the other one that I left in there, okay, that one is open. This might be the one where they were making a queen in that one. Yeah, okay.
This is the one?
So this is another one they're making a queen. And let's take some bees, some more bees. Not very many on that. So I'll just go ahead and take this frame. It's pretty much empty anyway, but it's got bees on it.
Okay, so how many frames over here have queen cells that you see?
There's a couple more. So I want to leave some just in case there's still a problem, or what if I accidentally got that young queen on one of those frames I just took, you know. So I'm still going to leave some backup protection for them. I went ahead and took 5 frames out of there. One of the frames was empty, so it just had some bees on it. So I'll put 5 empty frames back in.
Okay, so the temperature today is right now is about 85 degrees, which is not that bad. But working with bees in the summer, oh my goodness, wearing these clothes and then the suits, the bee suits, it is super hot.
Yeah, it's about 88 degrees today, so.
No, right now it's 85. It already
Was it
went
85?
down. Yeah, but it was 87.
Okay.
It was 87.
So this hive now has a bunch of empty frames also. They've got work to do now.
So then now we have to transport them to another hive. These ones in the box.
Yep. We'll go set up another hive in
The bee yard.
the bee yard.
Okay. And so you know this box has a screen so they can breathe right over here.
Okay.
Good.
Whoa.
Oh, that wouldn't be good.
There. That closed up.
Okay. This hive was very calm, I think.
Very,
Right?
very calm.
Very gentle.
Very gentle hive. The way I like them.
Very happy.
Unfortunately, they're not always that way, so today they were.
Today was a good day. All of the 3 hives, I think they were pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know if we caught this on tape, but I did get stung at the last hive. We were leaving and my face or whatever had an itch and I scratched it through my screen. Well, when you pull the screen right up to your face, that gives the bees an opportunity to sting you through the screen. And one of them just happened to nail me right on the upper lip, just above my lip under my nose. And I didn't notice. And about, I don't know how long later, I'm like, oh, I think I got stung. My lip's starting to sting a little bit. And sure enough, they got me. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do to this hive is I'm going to put a moving screen on it, because we do have the intent to move this one up to the bee yard. So by putting a moving screen on it, that will help facilitate the process.
And also take the bottom part.
I'll pull that out too.
Yeah.
Smoker? Oh, there it is. Okay, so if you've never seen one of these, this is called a moving screen. And basically, it's a block that fits in, blocks everything, but the bees can still come up inside here, but you have doors that you can open to let them flow freely. So what I do is I open the front doors, and actually I'm only going to open one of the front doors. I think this one, because that's the side they had been coming in and out of. And then I'll put this, if I can get the beams off the board, there we go. So we'll put this in there like that. And now the bees will come in and out of that hole there, see? And typically you would put a strap around the whole hive and around the top of the hive. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this hive that way. So what I just did is there's an exit right here. And so by sliding that top cover to the back, I closed that exit. So now the only way they can come in and out of the hive is through that door right there. So if I come down here in the middle of the night or early in the morning or when it's raining or sometime when all the bees would be home, all I got to do is close that door, and I'll of course put some straps around it so that it's ready to travel, and that will allow me to move the hive without all the bees coming out. And then typically what I do, since I'm not moving it, normally when you move bees, you want to move them less than 3 feet or more than 3 miles. Less than 3 feet is so that they can follow the hive, they don't get lost. And more than 3 miles is because if they're more than 3 miles from their location, that's at the point where they have to reorient, and they reorient to that new location. Otherwise, they already have their GPS set to this location, and so they just keep coming back to this location. So if you want them to stay with the hive, there's different things you can do. You can lock them in the hive for 3 days, so I could leave this screen on there and just leave them for 3 days before I open it up. You can move them more than 3 miles, which I don't have enough property to move them more than 3 miles. Or you can also open it up and then put like some leaves and stuff, like kind of a branch in front of the opening. So when they come out, it immediately looks different, and that kind of tricks them into reorientating them as well, reorientating. So several tricks there, but I like the moving screen. It makes moving them a lot easier. So we're pulling this mite board out, and the first thing I notice is I have
it's a little beetle.
beetles.
There's two more over here.
Running around, so I try to take them out. I also have a larva right here, which is a small hive beetle larva, and I'll smash that.
Are you gonna put the Swiffer? We'll have to come back to put the
yeah, we'll put a beetle blaster in there later.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just looking over this board to see what's on here. There's some pollen on here. There's a lot of just dust from cappings and things like that. But typically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for mites. I want to see if there's any mites on this board. And just right out of the gate, I do not see any. I also have some bees running around on the board, and so I'm looking them over also. I'm looking at the condition of their wings, because a lot of times when you have a mite problem, they'll get a disease that causes their wings to deform. So you always want to look at the wings and make sure that they got good healthy wings, and these all have beautiful wings. And looking at these bees here, just a sampling, I don't see any of them with a mite or evidence of mites. And I don't see any mites on the board.
Okay, now they're a little bit more active.
So one thing that I need to be clear about too is it is very possible that I took the queen. It wasn't intentional, but I didn't check thoroughly, kind of in a hurry, and I just took some frames, and it's possible that there's a queen that's on those frames. You notice the bees are pretty active right now, and so could that be because I took their queen? I don't know, it's possible. It could also just be because I put that entrance on there and it changed the look of things and they're a little confused. They'll get used to it.
But if you do their queen, they can make another one because you left some queen cells.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And that's what I was getting at. That
yeah.
Even if I took their queen, I did not take all the queen cells out of the hive. There were still a few in there. So they do have the ability still to have another queen hatch out. And we'll keep an eye on this hive, and let's just say worst case scenario. Let's say worst case scenario that I took their queen and none of those, maybe she already stung all the other queens and they just haven't drug them out yet. And so they don't get any queen out of there. But then I noticed this other hive has a queen. Well, I can always do something that's called newspaper combine. And what you do is you take two hives, put a piece of newspaper between them, set them on top of one on top of the other one. They chew through the newspaper. By the time they chew through the newspaper, their pheromones and everything have mixed enough that they believe they're the same hive, and they merge just like that. So we could always merge those two hives back together in worst case scenario. I don't think that's going to happen, but worst case scenario, we have options. So this is really a simple thing and nothing to worry about.
Okay, so now we are back in the bee yard, and we're bringing this what do you call it, a nook here, the one that you just you made.
Well, it's 5 frames, but I'm putting it into a regular hive. So I put a moving screen on the front of this, and I locked all the doors. The plan is that these bees will be shut in here for a few days so they don't just return to the other hive. So I've got 5 frames in this box that are empty, and I'm gonna go get the other bees here and install them into this box. Sometimes people like to ask, what's in your toolbox? Well, let me show you. Bees. Bees are in my toolbox. How cool is that? Hive tool. Okay, so what we're going to do is install these frames into this hive box. Basically, this would be the same as if you were installing a new hive.
Did you say a new hive or a nuke hive?
Nucleus.
Nuke hive.
Nucleus hive is typically 5 frames. When you get a new one, you're gonna put that into a full-size hive, whether that be a 8 frame or 10 frame. This is a 10 frame Langstroth hive.
So then you're not gonna leave any openings for them to get out because you want to trap them for 3 days or so, right?
Yep. So they don't return to the other hive.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hold them captive for 3 days. Or less. We'll give them a couple days at least. Today is, what's today?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So we're leaving Friday morning, so we'll have to let them out on Thursday then.
What about water? How will that work?
They'll be fine.
That'll be fine?
Well, I guess the other option would be to try the branch method. You could do that too.
Okay, so now, how do we transport the bees over here
Well,
to the hive?
first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make them somewhat mad.
Smoke them?
Nope.
Shake them. Okay. Oh. Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, there you go.
And unfortunately, we did not get them all out.
You got a mud for sure.
Trash out there. So I think we'll try to get them to force a reorientation. I mean, part of it is that we've got the that thing in front. So, oh look, I left one out right down there. Grab that.
Grab what?
On the ground there's a
Oh, I see.
beetle blaster that I didn't put back in one of the other hives. We'll put it in this one.
Good.
Okay, so
Maybe here? They are definitely mad.
yes.
You don't wanna.
So I'm gonna brush these out.
Brush them.
These are left.
Okay.
Good way to make bees mad.
Okay.
So they're flying all over, not happy. Hopefully the ones in the hive will call out to them with pheromones.
How are they gonna get in if they're locked?
I'm gonna open that front door.
Okay.
But what I need is to try to find like some leaves or something.
Up here, there's a medicine. This can dry leaves or fresh or what? What do you want? One?
Yeah, just some. Actually, this will try to work. Pull this weed here.
Okay.
And hopefully that tells them that, hey, this isn't the home we're used to. Plus with that moving screen on there, that'll hopefully let them know that something's different and they will reorient to this hive. We will give them a check on Thursday to see how they're doing.
So this evening, are you going to close completely? Are you gonna lock them completely?
Nope, I'm done.
Oh, you're done. You're gonna leave that little opening then?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we're back over here. It's a couple days later and we just want to check on this hive that we created the other day. It's windy as heck, so normally I would not even mess with bees on a day like today. They're not going to be happy to see us, but I really felt like we needed to check these because we're leaving town tomorrow morning early, and if they need help, I need to give it to them now. So first thing I'm doing here is removing the moving screen. They should have reoriented to the hive by now if they were going to reorient. If not, they've already flown back to their other hive. Now, first thing I notice here on the landing board is larvae and stuff that they've been dragging out and some dead bees. So, not sure what larva they're dragging out, but remember, worst case scenario on this one was that a queen had emerged and already stung through those other queen cells, and all those queens were already dead. We don't know. So just want to take a quick look in here, see what's going on. Let's go around to the back so that that'll be better. The other hives are very busy. See lots of pollen coming in. That's a good thing. So they're doing their thing. That's good. Okay, so the first thing I see just looking through the little peephole there is that there are bees still in there. So they have not left. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick look in here and just check population, and that's it. I don't want to really disturb these any more than I have to. And you can see we've got a good cluster going on in the middle here. We got that beetle blaster here picked up. Bees are buzzing around me a little bit here. They're not happy that I'm here. You see some dead bees in and around this beetle blaster, so looks like we smushed some in there. but we had a few small hive beetles, so we wanted that in there.
Okay, so I mean, look like.
But the good news is these center frames.
Oh yeah, they're all
we
there.
got 1, 2, 3, 4 solid frames is what we brought over. The fifth one was empty and just had bees on it, but we can see that in between all these frames it's full of bees. That's what we want to see. So they did not go back to the original hive. Population is still there. What we don't know is there a queen or not? It's going to take time to figure that out. So
they're good. I'm glad to see
I'm
that.
surprised they're not mean at all. No smoke, no nothing. Windy, very windy day, and they're just as calm as can be. So that's awesome. These are great bees. So the one thing I want to do is just observe for a few minutes and see if I can see any pollen coming in. One of my concerns was a lot of the bees that we brought over were young bees. Mainly, you know, they're taking care of the brood and everything. So I do not know if we got any foragers in that batch, and even if we did, chances are they'd go back to the original hive. So they've got to adapt and overcome, and we need to see if they're going out foraging. So we're just going to watch for a minute and see if we see any coming in with pollen. Now look at all these up in the flow hive here.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
So we put this flow hive on to give them more space and to give them a honey super, but it was not cleaned up from last year. It still had some traces of honey in it, which they needed anyway. So they're in there working away, cleaning up those cells and getting ready to make honey. Good deal. We'll see if they're in the other one as well. Let's see what if this hive went up into it. Only a few in there. Now there's the difference. They're checking it out, but they're not really doing anything in there. We'll see if on the other side there's any more activity than this one. Same thing. I do see a little condensation in there, so this is vintage, should be up clearing, but they're not really doing anything other than just checking it out. And good news is they'll collect that condensation and use it. There's not enough to be of concern. But they're at least starting to check it out. Now the other one, it's been used before and it had honey in it and wax and everything else, so that's why they go to it so quick, because it's ready to go. This one's brand new. We'll see what they do with it over time. Okay folks, so in a pinch, here's what we did. We didn't really note any resources coming in. Watching a few bees come and go. Most of them are still seem to be in cluster inside the hive. So we felt like we needed to do something on this hive. We also saw a fight on the landing board saying that possibly something wanted to go in and try to rob. So what we did, we switched the configuration of this one. So we put the standard 3-inch reducer on the hive over there, and we moved the feeder over to this hive. And then we turn the reducer to where it's blocked and not letting anything in, and then there's a 1-inch gap over on the far side there. So we've reduced them down to a 1-inch hole, less for them to protect since it's a small colony right now. And then I didn't have any sugar water, but I did have honey, last year's honey, so I brought them a jar for about 3 pounds of honey. And since there were no resources in that hive prior, we didn't move any honey. There was a little bit of pollen in there, but we didn't have honey. So we wanted to make sure that they have food. We know they have pollen, and we know there's plenty of pollen out there that they can go collect. but honey wise still is in question of whether they're finding enough nectar. So we give them about 3 pounds. That should be plenty to hold them over until the hive can build out a little bit more of those brood, hatch out, hopefully get an established queen and keep growing from there. We're leaving town tomorrow, so we'll check it again when we come back in a couple weeks. As always, folks, we appreciate you watching our videos and supporting our channel. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and continue to watch, see what we're going to do next, because there's always a lot going on this homestead. We're building, we're developing, got a lot of big plans, and of course we're working bees, but lots more coming in the future, so stick with us.
Hasta luego, amigos.
Till the next time, we'll see you on the next one.